Generational patterns can be lots of different things. Some folks look at them as generational trauma, some folks look at them as generational blessings. Generational patterns can be any number of things that are reflected throughout the years over and over. Another space where we talk about this concept is unwritten, unspoken family rules. So if you want to flip on over to that in your next section of learning, that would be really helpful. But resetting generational patterns comes with the idea that you know that the generational patterns exist. So right here, we're going to look through what we're doing in this module. As a boundary reset, we want to define generational patterns. We want to recognize that they exist. We want to talk about the dead bones and how to bring them back to life. All of us have spaces in our life that are dead bones. There are spaces in the valley, and specifically the reference that we're leaning into is Ezekiel 37, which is part of the driving force behind Anchored Within. Now, when we talk about defining generational patterns are recurring behaviors, beliefs, attitudes, and emotional responses passed down from one generation to the next within families or communities. These are the things that you just do because your family does. So one of the examples that I ran into early in my marriage is my family would take cars to get them fixed when they were broken. My husband's family would work on their own cars and would do some preventative maintenance. I didn't have that as part of my family. Now, our cars lasted for a very, very long time, but it was just a completely different modality. So that is a generational pattern that we didn't know that we could question. Now, what we're talking about in this concept can have a whole lot more harmful weight behind it. So every family has a story. You will always be a part of that story. But what if the story is ugly and mean and you don't want to be the people that you grew up with? Or you don't want to reflect the values that they reflected, intentionally or unintentionally. Now, we are all in a space where we have dry bones or dead bones, and they just lay there. There's no animation in them. They just do. They get rained on. They get weathered by the sun. They just lay out there. There's no true feeling or thought put into it. Now, once we are woken up, somebody comes to us and starts thinking about what life could be like if we didn't just do the things that we've always done. Those are beautiful people that we want to lean into. But like this slide says, patterns aren't permanent. So just like anything that you do in your life, you can stop and think, and you can move into a new system. New patterns always take time to establish. So again, if we reflect on the early stages of my marriage and we had discussions or arguments over how to fix a car, then we had to think about which way was actually helpful. So in this case, we're going to think about the boundaries that we can set if we're thinking about a harmful relationship. You are welcome to continue yelling, but I will not stay here while you yell. And then taking action. I'm going to step away because you're continuing to yell. Or I'm going to stay present because you're not yelling. I'll be glad to hear what you have to say. As you hold other people accountable, it's not really about them at all. It's about holding your own self accountable. What is it that you believe that you are worth as you set that boundary and you hold the line? Now we want to think about the relationship. Like I said earlier, this relationship is about you. It's not about the other person. So you're never trying to control somebody else in a vision of a new generation. What you are trying to do is hold yourself accountable and set that perspective for those that follow. So if I say, nobody is going to yell at me, I'm going to step outside if you continue to yell, or I'm going to leave this situation, then that is a healthy boundary that you can keep for yourself. You're not enforcing, you will never yell again, because it's not helpful. So what we're doing when we're pouring into those dry bones and we're starting to listen to what the Spirit is saying, to what we are saying, to what others are pouring into us, you are worth more than you've allowed yourself to be. We have been given the gift from God to think about ourselves, to think about others, and to think about what is healthy and good that we want. Those things are going to reanimate the dry bones because they're already existing. Now, this doesn't mean that it won't be painful. There are some folks that you may dearly love or think that you dearly love that will have to move out of your circle because they cannot learn to live differently than what they've chosen. Not without a lot of self-work and not with a lot of boosting from other people. But you know what? You're planting the seed by showing up and saying, I'm ready to be held in a different standard. I'm ready to be reanimated. I'm ready for the Spirit to fill me and for me to recognize my worth as a human being. Here I am as a human showing up and saying, no more yelling. Not in my home, not in my peaceful circle. So what are you, other person, going to do with this? Are you going to be reflective of me and say, oh, you know what? That's fair. I probably shouldn't be yelling. Or is that other person going to move and remove themselves from your circle by showing you that they don't respect who you are? You get a choice in this. The way to reset generational boundaries and the way to recognize that generational boundaries need to be reset is to start listening to those voices that are surrounding you. Are they telling you that your worth is much greater? You're going to look for healthy people. You're going to look for people that are thriving, they're succeeding, and they're not having lots of repercussions in their work life or in their home life. You're not looking for folks that are really, really struggling on every aspect of their life or who exemplify just unkindness. You're going to look for folks that are kind and gentle and loving. It's always good to reflect on love, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, goodness, faithfulness, and self-control. If folks are following those things, or if you look at 1 Corinthians 13, and folks are exemplifying love, and you can put their name in front of love. So love is kind. You could put your name in there. Leah is kind. The Spirit will show up and show you a person that you can look forward to. Opportunities that will arise, they were never possible in the desert when you were struggling and when you were just operating according to the weather that came and went. Now, I encourage you to explore the next few chapters here. Look down through these modules, see what it's pulling you to, and move into them.